Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Blood Tribe Elections Live, Episode 8. I'm Vernon J. Chief Moon, and my co-host is Robin Littlebear. Welcome to Blood Tribe Elections Live. Today's show is all about getting to know some of our candidates running for Chief and Council and to give them that chance to share their platform safely with you, all due to COVID-19, especially after today's numbers of 860 new cases in Alberta and sadly 20 deaths in the last 24 hours. We need to protect our elders and our immune compromised and our community, and that's why we are doing these broadcasts daily. Before we move on, Robin, did you have an update on the Blood Tribe front?
Yes, we actually just recently received an updated report. You can always go to the Blood Tribe Communications to view those reports. And they bring you right over to the bloodtribe.org website where all the COVID information and reporting is there. Sadly, we just received this report about an hour ago now, and we are now reporting one case at the Kainai Continuing Care Center. So everyone, I have to emphasize how important it is to wear your masks, wash your hands, be very, very safe around our elders. But I also commend you for the good work that you're doing because our numbers are down. We are now at 3 active cases. Good job, everybody. Let's continue to keep our community safe. Thank you.
Yes, in a leadership role, we have to help one another, and that's why we are doing this today. You can watch us on Facebook Live, or you can watch us on YouTube, the Elections 2020 page. You can also watch us on your Telus box and your Shell box. Let me just load that up here. There it is. I always forget the numbers there. You can watch us on Shaw by picking up the remote and pressing the microphone button saying Blood Tribe Elections YouTube. Or on your Telus box, you can tune in on 322 and type in Blood Tribe Elections 2020. Alright, so I got that channel right for the first time there. I was always asking Robin what channel that was. Alright, so today's guests are Laverne. She's number 80 on your ballot. Say hi, Laverne. Laverne Wells, that is.
Hi. Hi, Laverne.
And we have Marvin Jimmy, mistaken chief. He's number 58 on your ballot. Say hi, Marvin.
Okay.
And they are both vying for the position of council. So tonight we're going to hear their platforms, 7 minutes. So we'll turn it over to Robin to get us started.
Okay, folks, I hope you got some popcorn. So it's elections and chill. No, I'm just kidding. I actually stole that from Vernon, so that was a really good one. I swear I had to say that tonight. We've had some late nights. But folks, tonight we have 2 guests for you. Our first guest is Laverne, and we're asking Laverne to tell us a little bit about herself and share her platform with everyone. Laverne, you have the floor.
Okay. My name is Laverne Wells. I have this screen coming up. I was raised on the Blood Reserve. I have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. And I've gained my work experience both on and off reserve. And within this last, between 2014 and 20, I'm way ahead of myself. 2000 and 2004, I worked for Blood Tribe Department of Health. And I later moved over to Blood Tribe Housing. So I gained a lot of experience at housing. And after that, I moved over to Bigani Housing. And I have my 2-year business admin diploma from the Lethbridge College, formerly known as the Lethbridge Community College. My diploma was in the business administration program. Excuse me, I'm nervous. I'm still trying to get used to this. But anyhow, I'm in the process of acquiring my Bachelor of Management degree through the Athabasca University. I'm expected to graduate in December. So My platform consists of strengthening the blood tribe community by being in a position to help tribal members, as well as incorporating our traditional ways with our modern governance. And with that, I know some of the things are already being carried out. Before we conduct our business, we always open with an opening prayer and sometimes a smudge, just so that we can all come to a mutual agreement. And the one I would like to stress is Gimapipitsin. It's often used, but sometimes it's not really honored or carried out. But we have to think about our ancestors, like how we lived back then. We all were in a circle. The men went to hunt. They provided the food. The women took care of the camp and the children. We all take care of each other. There was no ischikanis tapiosin, those kind of values. We always have to remember where we come from, and always think about those values. Akaye iksipya, when it comes to governing ourselves and making decisions. And the next one is enhancing blood tribe communities through government by contributing to blood tribe governance to improve the quality of life and on service delivery and programming for membership. Like as I said, I have an extensive experience in housing, and I've seen a lot of posts, people's addressing their concerns about housing. Housing is a very sensitive issue. It's a sensitive issue because we're dealing with people's lives. Our homes are our sanctuary. They're our comfort zones. And we should always try to. It's hard because we have such a big reserve. Blood Tribe Housing has the largest housing portfolio on a national scale, and it's pretty hard to accommodate everybody. And with this recent housing selection, on social media, the public was upset about, because of that the lottery style that they chose. And I've sat in 2 housing selections during my tenure at Blood Tribe Housing. And I agree with the public. I find that it's an unfair way to pick these people, applicants to house them. Because we come from different demographics, we all have different needs, and the sizes of our families vary, and it's pretty hard to accommodate everybody. But I think it's important to have a better system in place than it is right now. And I know the staff, they're overexerted because of the large clientele that they have to deal with. When I was there, I was taking care of the central area of the reserve. I was serving about 400 clients, but that number has increased since I've been gone. And the last one is improving the blood tribe government by making unbiased decisions, creating policies, and adhering to them with an open mind and being accountable for my actions, decisions, and outcomes. So again, with stressing policy, all policies should be in place, and then we use those as a guide. And when it comes to making decisions, just say, for example, you apply for a job. If you have relatives that are applying for these jobs, you should excuse yourself. Those are just one of unbiased ways, to be fair. So you're not, trying to abuse your position. That's one of the fair ways to do it. And being in an open mind. Managers hire individuals not only because they have the experience and the education, but what they're also looking for is to try to work beyond that. What can you bring into that, whatever role or responsibility? What other things can you bring to enhance that department or program? So these are some of the things that, you know, we need to look for, and to be accountable for my actions, you know, to be open and to be accountable and not to be blaming anyone. If I did something wrong, or, you know, I should be held accountable for my own actions, whether I'm being biased, or if I'm, you know, like not being fair, you know. So I have to be accountable. So these are some of the things that I would like to improve if given the opportunity to serve my people. Again.
Good job, Laverne. Okay, next up we have Marvin Mistaken Chief. On your ballot, he's Marvin Jimmy Mistaken Chief. Let's load up his name here. Take Laverne's off. Marvin Mistaken Chief is number 58 on the ballot. So we'll place Marvin in the spotlight there. All right, Marvin, you're live. You have the floor.
Okay, hana galiksuukaan. Nistonnako kaakim samikskastakio. Jaukohtsin kaapäis tsipsatqpaa kaaki nohtu tsitapiispio kaaki. Ninna ansta pahkaapsqkumaapio kaaki niksas nistakapasitsiksinaaki. Okay, onna ansta pahtsina. Uksas taakiitstaajakki. Niksasta onna ansta stamiksupio. Maaaks maatinosksnipinaan maksinaansio kaaki. Nitsitapinska simkakohkitskinuannanikaki Molly Wilds ni long time squirrel. Okay, kidagohta pasitipsatqpaa kaki. Anachtistaaki itsina smukaaki apaskip kaki ninapuutaks. Tigaiki samitsi itsina pitapiano kainaskakko kaki taspumwana kuotapis. Tatu maata on kaki tapis ni kumokka ki kistamnon ki paitapis no kaki. Ogino pisto ko kimmapipits. Naksoayo I tohkis samaksana ko tapis ni kaki taki toman stas samaya kaki. O kita ka ikimman matapi. O gidago kutsi puenikis koht kaki nina putaks ni kaki. Tits besto sinikumokitapik. Ei skitsikistoi siit sitä muuta peistä matso kun nikani paikapis. Essort man staka pispienne kaakaksima. Ikakko siis kipis. Anaka kis kohtuka kis kinnena kistonno ni tuottaa si kistonnon kitkinnena isina kamokkoto kaapu taksini kaaki. Omkinaiksaaki kipitaakiksi nanokaista matsuki. Ania kistonnoon ni taas sinne mahkota puutaksnikaki. Iskinnena sinekaki maatkitsimia seokaki kanoks. Anako käytäpio agitsinopio kaki. Hagitohtsi senikaki nenäiksaaki manistakaksitsimahpio. Hakani omkinaiksaaki annemai. Utapi sinikaki kamitsi sinikaki maataksi simyaaki isito taakamut patskuia. Annaini tuattaa si kistunnon ki paitapi sinonikaki. O kimata paski bakta suka pi sinikaki ano kainas kakko kaki. Hakana tuit sikataana kutapi sinmatagit si pakitasa puutoksa. Kita kaikimmaan kamatapi. Annaini saanista keistä matsuuko. Saktani se peskohtakaa kinanisteista matsuuko kaikki. Haksona omat kohsatuut sinne kennaa kalkkaksi mäiksi niitä sinnistä mutsiop. Ustoa niitä sinnemmä. Hakkamanista hiina kiipanikaa kiikistunnoon niistä sinnistä mutsiopaakin. Ohtaaksukaa piisanu kanskakko. Ustoa kaikki tannisua. Maatiga khtasa puaik. Kistunnoon ikseika kimopaakin. Aktasa paasian kaikki niitä sinnistä mutsios. Huokiam kinnaik sa kipita kimanan Haksana istapaksto sanika kiotapi sanika ki annaka kitoksunon. Tiokto ka musia ka ki tskomots ka kiano tsakwe ka ki hakanyo kainis kakko ka ki ikako kitoksunons. Kaksunonix muotitästöjä ka ki piskaanis sa ki hakohtitaats tapi sisi kistunnon kitoksunons. Tiokto kanno mei topo pakki. Akaman states ka matu pinistikaki. Makpo kaksima syötik. Enna pa kaksimek. Annäinään stuattunnistu kaikki mannak matappi. Tätsina pitappi anno känskahku kaki. Matajohkit samannak matappi. Se kaikki manna kuutapis, nika kännin taanispi, tsesti saakaapski, panikaki, mahkota puutaks. Eksikin ma taapso panno, hini taapasso paaki. Annakaki stais sinot, piikskena, piokaki eikkoi. Oki mostisko toutsi, pääst sitä piiks, ma kaapsaamist. Anne tsei, tsiikhtsi putsi paaki, entaktistikoi. Okei, kohtaa kui muokse, mä taat sitä piitsimiksaaki, ainakin niitä seippoksi, niin kaikki tää kohtaa ne kaapaisit pissa kaikki. Good evening, everyone. My name is Marvin, Mistaken Chief. On the ballot, my legal name is Marvin Jimmy Mistaken Chief. My Indian name is Longtime Beaver. My parents are the late Philip Mistaken Chief, my mother Teresa. My grandparents are Jimmy Wilds Sr. and Molly Wilds on my mother's side. On my father's side, my grandfather's name is Jack Mistaken Chief, and my grandmother is Anna White Manliff. Today I want to talk to you about some of my platform. My platform is based on traditional governance. A governance that has been carried on for centuries by our ancestors and will lead on to accountability and also will lead to what we have done for a long time to traditional governance. As far back as I can remember, as a young lad, I started my teachings traditionally at 7 years old, and I heard many of our old people talk about how our lifestyles and how we should treat each other kindly, that we should never look at anyone differently, that we always treat each other equally. Through traditional governance, the traditional governmental way of our people is always that I was told that our place of meeting should never have a door. There's no door. That everybody is entitled to hear what leadership is discussing and what we're up against and what the federal government has put on the table for our people. For a long-standing time, we've tried to honor the very treaty that we signed with the federal government and held them to their accountability to provide those things that they promised us through that agreement. Through traditional governance, everyone in our community has say in the day-to-day operations of what we do. And those are the things that I've been taught for a long time. We've kind of drifted away from that form of governance. And we've more moved to a type of governance that was imposed on us by the government itself. In order for us to have a peaceful community, we must return back to the way we governed ourselves, and that is a whole community. Our community is based on exact teachings that our ancestors have left us for a long time. From time immemorial, those teachings have been passed on from generation to generation, and that is the way that we should govern ourselves. Far too long have we allowed the outside world to dictate to us how we should handle our own affairs. It is us, the community, should have say in day-to-day operations, anything that is pressing or any kind of big decisions that are made should have input from our membership. That way everything is done neatly, nobody is upset. Everybody has an entitlement to say what is going on. They make their suggestions. And if I make reference to Vernon's grandfather, great-grandfather, late Jim shot both sides, our last hereditary chief, I witnessed myself the way he governed his people. In the council chambers, my dad had the opportunity to sit with him when he was chief, and the way he led traditionally. In a gallery in the back of our present council chambers, they discussed what they were discussing and what was pressing that day. The council members and our chief let the people know what was going on. At the end, towards the end of his meeting, the chief shot both sides. He gave the opportunity of the people to make suggestions to improve whatever it was that they had on the table at that time. And he took those suggestions and he made sure that he made the public know that he would take all their comments into consideration before he made his final decision, along with his 12 councilmen. In my mind, if we revert back to a system that included all our community, can you imagine how much better our community would be? We would get along, the stress would be gone from leadership, and the frustration would also be removed within membership. I want to talk about a little bit about the opiate crisis that we have suffered in the last few years. And all this that is happening, sometimes we base things too much on science rather than using our traditional methods. I myself have been, our family was hit by the opiate crisis personally. And I have to say, the people that taught me the best were the ones that were on homeless and the ones that were out there suffering through the opiate crisis. They were my best teachers. Today I've friended so many of them, and today they're still my friends. Just in fact, today I was visiting with some at the post office in Cardston. There was one thing that I noticed. They never lost their humor. Even though in the trying times that they had, they were still very humorous people. In my last note, I took part in programs in our community to try and help our people, such as the Smudge Box Project that was headed by so many people in our community. My wife, Lydia, was one of the ones that pushed that forward. I was there to help the people. I was there to make sure that we helped everybody out. And in my platform, I said, as long as we practice traditional governance, in my closing remarks, as long as we practice traditional governance, by this, no community member will be left behind. Thank you for your time. And remember, choose wisely on the 19th and on the 28th, 26th. Choose wisely who you would like to lead in the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin.
Good job, Marvin. If you want to vote for Marvin, he's number 58 on the ballot under Marvin Jimmy Mistaken Chief. And Laverne, as well as is on the ballot, and she is number 80 under Laverne Wells. So moving to our next segment of the show, Robin's going to ask Marvin and Laverne a question, and they're going to have 2 minutes to answer. So we'll put Laverne on the floor there. Well, not technically on the floor, but on the right screen. There you go. Go ahead, Robin.
Okay, Laverne, you talked about 3 key items strengthening the blood tribe community by helping others. You talked about incorporating traditional ways with modern governance. You talked about Gimapipitsin and how did we live back then? We took care of each other. Number 2, you talked about enhancing blood tribe communities and improving quality of life. You talked about housing and how it's a sensitive issue. It is the largest housing portfolio in the country. It most definitely is. And it's really difficult to accommodate everyone. You talked about the lottery process and how we could come up with a far better one. You talked about it's really difficult to accommodate the different needs. We have different target groups that need housing. We need to have a better process. Number 3, you talked about improving the blood tribe government, and you talked about various methods to do that. One of them being unbiased, open-minded, and being accountable for actions. All good stuff, Laverne. Laverne, if you are a successful candidate in this up-and-coming election, what are your plans? What are your thoughts and what's your approach to improving the quality of life for our blood tribe members?
Okay, Laverne, you need to unmute. I'll send you a notification.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
I've seen it. Okay. With respect to housing, there was a public outcry with this the lottery style, and I had indicated that I disagree with it because we need to carefully monitor, assess, and when we're going to, people want to, like, no matter how you try to choose, like, strategically, logically, you look at it at every angle, no matter how you can't please everybody. But and the goal here would be to try to reduce the overcrowded living conditions. Because some people, there's multi-families living in these units, and that's where the trauma, kids are at risk. That's where trauma stems from at a young age, and they grow up, with these hurts, and they need to heal from these hurts. That's why then they start getting into all, like, experimenting with drugs and alcohol. So in order to try to help to alleviate these living conditions, I would suggest housing, maybe create a waiting list. And myself, in the past, I was in a tenant from Treaty 7 Housing. They have a really good system in place. They have a waiting list, okay? They collect all the people, whoever applies, they put them in a system, and it's as they come in, people can, they're on the waiting list, but it's your responsibility as the applicant to come in and renew your application. Like, you still want that need, you're still demanding for a house, demanding the need. So you have to go in and update, your application, you're still interested, so that way housing will know. So enter all these existing and these recent ones, because I know they probably came up with 200 applicants and they only picked 25. So you combine all those and put them in the system. So these 25 are going to be out. So you just, then if you say in the next 5 years you're going to build another 25 house, so you pick the first 25, and then you just keep moving that list. I think that's a better system because it's a good system. It worked for Treaty 7 Housing, and we should try it. But, I think it'll work. So you give some responsibility back to the applicant so that they can come in and then they can inform housing. Okay, we want to renew our application. So it's like communication, planning, and organizing. I think that'll work. We can try it, but, we could never please everybody. But I think that would be a good way to start. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Marvin, you're ready to go. Okay, Marvin, you talked about traditional governance, awesome topic, and how it will lead to accountability. You talked about how you've been learning since you were 7, a young boy, and you were told about how Jim Shop Both Sides conducted business in the council chambers all those years ago. You talked about holding the government accountable. We have a different way of governing. And you talked about needing to go back to teachings that have been passed on to us. For far too long, we've let the outside dictate to us. Community should have a say and should have input. And then you talked about the opiate crisis, and of course the addictions that really contribute to that. And you talked about how your best teachers have been those that are suffering in this opiate crisis, and how they never lost their humor. You talked about practicing traditional governance so that no one would be left behind. That was a great closing statement. Marvin, my question to you is, if you are a successful candidate in this next election, Marvin, what is your approach to addressing addictions and more specifically the impacts that it's had on our community, within our community?
I think probably I've helped a lot of young men and women that have gone through this. Like I mentioned earlier, personally, we went through that same. We were affected by the opiate crisis. One of our children was, affected by it, and out of frustration, I always tried to think, well, how would I better understand to help my son? So in all this, I've friended a lot of these people that are being left homeless, not their own whatever background it might be. I friended them. I sat down and ate with them several times. When I became friends with them, I started asking them questions on how they got there. Some gave me a personal view, and others just didn't want to talk about it. I never pressed it. And then the more I thought about it, and I said, one of the things that I did find out is some of them kind of lost touch with who they were as a First Nations person. So I started using traditional methods, and my son, one of my sons and his best friend were quite worried about his friend that was suffering through the opiates that were here in the reserve. I mean, they were literally almost in tears when they asked me what they can do. I told him, take him back to the land. Connect him back to the land. Give him back his identity. Give him back his value of life. Traditionally, that's where we heal our people, is taking them back to the land. Using our elders to teach them who they are, their history. This should be incorporated in the plans that we have to overcome these things by using our own methods of teaching our people that self-identity. Once you become strong in your self-identity, you become to be a real person again. How can you You begin your stream, you begin to heal, you get your spirit back. And a lot of these individuals, it's because they feel like nobody cares. But in actuality, there's a lot of people in our community that are more than willing to help. But we just have to take time and make time for these people just to hear them out and support those families that are going through the same crisis. As a whole, our whole community can band together and help these individuals. And that's the way our ancestors used to do. They go to the elders, and the elders give them advice on how to deal with things. And that's one method I know we still use today. But maybe we should put a little more emphasis on our teachings and giving them back their identity. And I can only speak for myself. The turnaround from the people that I've helped, you can see that they've gotten their pride back. They've went on to be very accomplished individuals. They take care of their families very well. And those, I feel, are the systems that can help our people, the traditional way, and giving them back their identity. Sometimes we, like I said, we concentrate a little bit too much on the science side of things or the medical end of it. But in actuality, the only way you can heal a person is begin to teach them who they are as individuals. So I think that would be the best method, in my mind, is helping our people. And that would be probably something that we should, really work on, and I'm willing to work with him. I'm a successful candidate as a councilman. I'm willing to work with the people. I'm willing to listen. I've always been a part of our community. And then I would like to encourage everyone to be safe out there. Take care of yourselves. And I want to thank yourself, Robin and Vernon, for allowing me to join you this evening in Laverne. Very wise words from you as well. It's good we encourage everyone. We treat everybody. We always try and empower each other someone. And
Copy. That was very good. Thank you, Marvin. Okay, folks, that's our two speakers for tonight. Laverne is number 80 on your ballot, and that is Laverne Wells. Marvin Jimmy Chiefmoon is number 58 on the ballot. Thank you, Laverne and Marvin, for joining us tonight and sharing with us.
that's good.
Very informative topics, that's for sure. I just like listening to you guys' platforms as well. Before we go, an important note that was messaged, what was told by Younging. 38 days till Christmas. She brought me a drink and she brought me a candy cane. So I'm supposed to remind everybody, 38 days to Christmas. The little one in the house is excited. So she wanted me to share that with everybody tonight. She's watching. All right. Well, that concludes tonight's Blood Tribe Elections Live. Remember, guys, when you are voting, either the advance polls November 19th or the 26th, take into account who you want to represent, especially who you want representing you on particular issues. You don't have to pick just one. So mark somebody down that's, strong with our traditional values, someone with justice, someone with opioids, housing. Like, we have people from different platforms coming on our show. So pick those 12 spots wisely. All right. Thank you, Laverne, for joining us. Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you.
And that concludes
Thank you.
this edition of Blood Tribe Elections Live, Episode 8. Have a good evening, everybody.
Stay safe.